the life you truly want. Experience the Jenna effect. I'm Vincent, Jenna, psychic therapist, medium, and spiritual teacher. Become unstoppable. Learn the secret that's holding you back. Hello, and welcome to the Jenna effect. Yes, this is my new podcast show that moved over from Unity Online Radio to the mindbodyspirit.fm platform. I am proud to be one of the nude podcasters there. No, wait, did that just sound like nude podcasters? No, this is not a nude podcasting show, I promise you. This is a regular spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal podcast platform. Psychological podcast platform as well. And I am your host today, Vincent, Genna, psychic therapist, medium, spiritual teacher, and author of my new book, The Secret That's Holding You Back. And the Genna effect is about helping you to unblock everything that may be getting in the way of you creating the life of your dreams. It's to help you stop stopping yourself. It's to help you find your passions and purpose. And if you know your passion and purposes already, then this is to help get you out there and fulfill them even more so. Maybe you are achieving some of your dreams, but maybe you're not at all. And so this podcast is about doing everything that you can. And I'm here to help you with that because we are capable of creating the life we want. We are capable of manifesting all that we desire. That's the promise of life. And that's been shown over and over and over again. And if you've ever listened to any of my shows, and if you haven't, just go to vincentgenna.com. And I have a bunch of media interviews on there, but also go over to mindbodyspirit.fm, and all of my podcasts from the Unity Online Radio show, the past couple of years that I was doing that, they're all on that platform. So you can listen to them anywhere. And here you can watch my videos and subscribe. Remember, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now on the YouTube channel, because I'm going to be back here every single week giving you some more information and having some fun with you. And maybe I'll even have some surprise guests on as well. But with everything that's been going on in life right now, at this time, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of strain on people. There's a lot of doubt and fear that people are dealing with. And that is normal, and I want everybody to understand that that's normal feelings that you will have. But what you don't want your fears to do is to get in your way of manifesting, get in your way of creating what you want and experiencing a life beyond your imagination, beyond what you think you can do, beyond your limits. That's what I'm here for. And that's what my book is all about, The Secret That's Holding You Back. It's become unstoppable. What's holding you back? So you can, by the way, pre-order my book. It comes out June 21st this year. It's been published by G&D Media. I'm so excited about that. But you can pre-order it. And the more you pre-order it now, before it does come out, the more it gets pushed out into the world so that everybody can receive my message. And you can see on this side over here. No, this side over here. There we are. Okay, I got my hand the right way. Okay, this side over here, some of the reviews I'm already receiving from some renowned people, Joe Vitale, Suzanne Giesman, George Norrie from Coast to Coast. I even have the president of Hampton Roads and Hierophant Press. I mean, I'm excited about that. Randy Davila, excuse me. So come back each week so that we can accomplish something together. So tonight I wanted to talk about some different things and you'll hear that there'll be a lot of the stuff that I say. It does wind up getting repeated because it needs to be repeated. You need to be able to hear these things. We were talking about the stress in life and all the fears that are going on right now. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And you have to understand why the crazy stuff happens. Why does it seem like things are getting worse? Now, In one aspect, they are. They are definitely getting worse as far as the lack of control that people are exhibiting and the lack of control people have within. And you see that more. You know, it's not every day that we have major countries and powers going over and bombing a whole bunch of innocent people. It happens in the past. We have a history of that in the world. We understand that. But it's more so now. It's more prevalent now. It's more prevalent now, people picking up guns and lashing out and killing other people, right? At the same time that that's going on, all this wonderful stuff and all this wonderful information is coming out there to help people get to a higher consciousness level. Just go to mindbodyspirit.fm and you will see some of the best luminaries that are out there. There's so much wonderful information, right? And really, if you think about it, the self-help and spiritual book publishing companies, it's $33 billion a year business. And that statistic was several years ago. I don't even know what the statistic is today because there is so much information and we need that much information. But what we need to be able to do with that information is apply it. That's the one thing that we have to be able to do the right way. Otherwise, all that information that you have gathered, all that fabulous knowledge and wisdom, and by the way, wisdom is knowledge that works. I'll say that again. Wisdom is knowledge that works. That's why it's wisdom. And that's why it's been passed down from generation to generation, because it does work. You see, when you see something, a piece of information working for some one person, that means it can work for everyone. But you've got to find the common denominator as to why it is working. Information alone is nothing more than that. As a matter of fact, every bookstore, every library in the world has this plethora of information, all sorts of information. But unless that information is taken, believed in, and used, it's useless. It's nothing more than a storage house of a lot of pretty books. And the application is what's necessary. That's the whole reason why I wrote this book. Over 40 years of my experience and studies and research that in the metaphysics, in the psychology field, spirituality field, paranormal field, all the fields that I could get involved in to get the right information to you is in that book. And that's what we need. We need the information on how to get it to work. And if it doesn't work, why it doesn't work. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about and give you that. That's what this show is all about. How to get it to work. How to get everything you try and attempt to work. So yes, it is a time period where we've got wonderful information coming out with wonderful people and luminaries and authors and teachers and speakers and ministers that are bringing all this consciousness, this higher consciousness out to the public. And at the same time, you've got all these crises going on. You've got the crises with people going on. You've got the crises with the world going on. I have to understand something. This is vital to understand. When you have crises with humans going on, it absolutely is going to affect the earth. Because when we were first created by the omnipotent power, whatever power or source you want to call it, I'm used to calling it God. I was a Catholic at one point. God is a word that I'm very comfortable with and familiar with, whatever word you want to use. Spirit, Yahweh, Elohim, it doesn't matter. It's a source. It's a power. You absolutely need to believe that we're more than just this physical life in order to make things work for yourself. That's the order of belief, is that you're more than. That's actually what metaphysical means, more than physical. Meta is more, physical, we know what that means. So metaphysical is more than physical. And we are more than physical beings. Therefore, as long as we're more than physical beings, we can tap into that knowledge and that wisdom and that understanding of how to use what we're more in and the source and the power that we come from to be able to use that. So we do affect. We were told then in the very beginning that we will have dominion over everything physical. And that's including the earth, entire universe, including the other planets, and ourselves, our bodies. Yes. Yes, our cells inside here, it's all made of matter. And we're energies having a physical experience. We know that. Spiritual beings having a physical experience. And energy manipulates matter. So these crises with the earth, the earthquakes, the fires, the storms, the tornadoes and hurricanes, the tsunamis, the volcanoes erupting, all of this devastation and crises going on all over the world and planet is totally affected, are totally affected by us and what's going on with us. So we have this hatred, negativity, racism, all of this, you know, this nonsensical stuff going on, and it charges our energy. Energy gets charged either positive or negative. It never gets destroyed, but it can be redirected and manipulated. And it gets charged. You put a charge to it, positive or negative. We know that. As a matter of fact, AC, DC current going different directions, right? Positive and negative. So when you have enough negative energy going on there, it's going to affect the world. It's going to affect us all over the world. I don't know if you remember, maybe some of you are too young to remember this, but back in the 70s, I believe it was, we were experiencing this phenomena called acid rain. Do you remember acid rain? I do, which means I'm old enough to remember acid rain. I wasn't a kid. Acid rain was from all the pollution that we were putting in the atmosphere, from not just burning fossil fuels, but everything. We were burning everything, trash and all of that stuff, and using, remember the hairsprays and everything, and we had to get non-aerosol hairsprays because it was affecting the ozone layer. All that stuff was going into the atmosphere. And what was happening is that when it rained, things on the ground weren't getting watered and thriving. They were dying. I mean, plants were dying, grass was dying, because when they examined it, there was so much pollution in one droplet of water, it was like acid. And so they called it acid rain. Well, I need you to understand that and have that in your head now, because every time something negative goes on this planet between humans, you're creating a type of emotional acid rain and negative energy acid rain. And why do I say acid rain? Because that energy floats and becomes accumulated. If it doesn't get destroyed, it can be manipulated. And since we are all together and gathered together and connected together on one planet, all of that energy now hovers over the entire planet. I mean, it's hard to believe, but we are breathing the same oxygen that they're breathing over in Japan. I'm over here in Holly Springs, North Carolina, you know, and they're breathing the same air as I'm breathing. It may have some different components in it due to what they're putting in the oxygen, but it's the same oxygen that surrounds the planet. So if it's the same oxygen that surrounds the planet, then why wouldn't the energy we create also surround the planet? It does. And so what winds up happening is that negative atmospheric energy comes falling down on us. Okay, comes falling down on us. So what does that mean? Well, depending upon who you are, what type of person you are, what you've done in your life, what road you're traveling, what path you're taking, it's going to determine how it affects you. So, in other words, if you're on a spiritual journey, you're a positive person. Maybe you have your ups and downs sometimes, but for the most part, you're on the light side of life, what Star Wars would call the light side rather than the dark side, all right? You're on the Jedi Knight side of your path. And a couple of times you may get off. That doesn't matter, but that's okay. So if you're a positive person and that negative energy rain comes falling down on you, maybe you might have a bad day occasionally. Most likely not. Doesn't affect you. Might not be as up or energetic. And then again, you might. I know I'm not affected by it. I'm very energetic all the time, but I've done a lot of work. We'll talk about that. But now let's say you're not so positive. Let's say you're a little downtrodden from your past because of what you've been through. Maybe some emotional, physical, sexual abuse you've been through. Some negative feelings you have about yourself. And maybe it's not even that intense. Maybe you didn't get physically abused or emotionally or sexually abused, but you have some bad times. Maybe there were some other messages you received that were negative while you were growing up. And so it's a little bit harder today. You have some angers in you, some resentments. Maybe you've been abandoned a lot. Maybe your relationships weren't even working out. They broke up, you're divorced. You're struggling financially. Maybe not struggling, but living paycheck to paycheck. Possibly your health is not doing great. Maybe you have, okay, that was very funny. Whenever I sneeze on a statement, it's a very profound statement. So I hope there's not a lot of you that are watching. By the way, subscribe. Did I say that before? Well, I'll say it again. Subscribe so you can keep watching it. Every time a new video gets uploaded, you will get a notice saying that there's a new video to watch and you'll want to watch it. Okay. What was I talking about? I was talking about your health. As I sneezed, see how profound that is? But I'm healthy. So financially even, not doing so good. I said living paycheck to paycheck. And health, that's right, I'm on health. Well, maybe you've not been too bad, but then maybe, again, maybe you got the coronavirus and you were doing bad. Maybe you've got some other chronic things going on, or chronic pains or issues with your back, with your nerves somewhere, some pains in your joints, arthritis, whatever it is. And we talked about possibly your relationships aren't great. Well, that negativity and what's ever inside of you that's negative, and all of that negative rain comes falling down on you, you have no idea the possibilities of what could happen. And I'm not talking in a positive way. I'm talking in a negative way. You can become iller, have more financial problems, definitely have relationship problems, vocation problems. You're lost. You have no direction. You lose your job. It gets bad. It gets bad when that happens because of that rain that comes down. Back in 2020, January 2020, I usually do prediction shows internationally on major like Coast to Coast Radio with George Norrie. And that January, I said there was going to be a plague that year. A plague. Now, I had no idea. Now, by January, there was already information that was going out into the world, but not over here in my world, not in my realm. My wife and I had just were going on a cruise. It was right after my predictions. We went on a cruise. There was no information or indication over here yet publicly that we had to worry about that. And yet I predicted a plague. So I didn't call it a pandemic, but I called it a plague because in my time growing up, that's what we used to have when it was worldwide. I said it was going to be worldwide. And I said it was going to be bad. But I also said, if you were a positive person and you got it, you would live through this plague, you would be okay. And there would be a good chance that you wouldn't even get it if you were on that right path. But if you were a negative person, there was a good chance you were going to come down with this plague, whatever it was going to be. And I said it was going to be so bad that if you had a cold or symptoms of a cold, it would turn into a pneumonia. And if you had pneumonia, you could possibly die from it. I said that. And I said that thousands of people were going to be affected by this. I said that because that was the energy and what I knew what was happening. And psychically, I was able to in tune with that. No, I couldn't come up with answers other than you had to become positive. My wife and I, we didn't just take vitamin C. We didn't just get the vaccination. This is the funny thing about all of that. Yes, we did that, not out of fear. But someone once said a long time ago, about 2022 years ago, and then some, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Well, what does that mean? I'm not a religious person, so why do I even bring that up? Because it was a good message. It was that just because you think you're spiritual doesn't mean you're not going to get a cold. And it also doesn't mean that you should stand in the middle of the street with an 18-wheeler heading right towards you and saying, God will save me. That's tempting the Lord thy God. So God also inspired people to create vaccinations, and the pharmaceutical companies. I know we hate them because they make so much money. That he didn't inspire. It did inspire creating ways to be able to help us. So the vaccination was there to be able to help us. So I took it. My wife and I took it, and our boosters and everything. We did what we needed to. But more than that, we did what we needed to in here, in the heart. We became more positive. We practiced more spiritual practices and techniques. We did meditations. We did groups. We talked positively about things to boost up not just our physical immune system, but our soul and our spirit immune system, which affects the human body. And neither one of us has ever gotten the coronavirus. And we've been amongst people who have had it, and yet we have not had it. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to get it. But I said, this negative energy rain is going to fall upon us. And if you're doing the right thing, I promise you, you will not be badly affected by this negative rain that's coming down. And more of it is coming down. It's not gone away. And you see why it's not gone away. Now that negative rain coming down, and somebody wants to pick up a gun and go shooting in a store at innocent people, go shooting in a theater, go shooting in a school, just all of this nonsense and crazy stuff, because this rain is falling down upon the negative people and making it worse. It exacerbates what's on the inside, exacerbates it and bring it to the surface. It then even makes some crazy person who wasn't necessarily balanced and was very negative in the beginning to start with, because that's the way they can be over there in Russia. You know what I'm talking about. Now, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, he decides he's going to bomb another country and kill a whole mess of people. He has no idea what he's setting up for the rest of the world. The storms this year, the crazy things going to be happening on the planet, feeding into that negative rain. All right, I don't want this to sound so ominous. Ooh, I should be playing some eerie music, right? Because it sounds so negative. Why do I bring this stuff up? You got so many other luminaries there. When you listen to mindbodyspirit.fm that are going to tell you all these beautiful things and make you feel really good, I'm the tell it like it is psychic. That's my reputation. But I'm also the healing psychic. Because here's the thing. Every so often, you might have to go to the dentist and have a filling filled, or even root canal. And you know why they do that? To save you. That's right, to save you. Did you know that if you let your mouth decay to such a point, you're so close to your brain here, that you can die from it? An infected tooth, you can die from it. So you'll go to the dentist and you might experience a little pain, little Novocaine in the mouth type of thing. I hate that. All those things, right? But why do we do it? To save ourselves. Save ourselves. So why do I point out the negative? To save ourselves, and to do more than that, to thrive. You cannot heal what you don't see needs healing. So yes, I point out what needs to be healed. I'm the bubble burster, maybe even the blister burster. Yeah, you know how sometimes you get a blister, you burn yourself, or maybe you get a little splinter and it forms a blister over it, but it keeps getting more and more infected? Well, you know what you have to do? If you go to the doctor, maybe sometimes you do it at home. I know I had to do it at home. You burst the blister, or sometimes remove the scab to get right to the infection so that you can put medication on it. The medication has to touch the infection in order for it to heal, especially if it is an infection. That means it's not healing from the inside out. So you got to go from the outside and go in. That's what I do. I heal the infections from the outside in. So I have to tell you and show you. When people call me up for readings, that's what I'm doing. I'm going from the outside in. And this book that I've written tells you why you have to do that and why you have to go deeper than you think you need to go. Because like I said, most people don't believe what they think they believe. And in order to heal that, you got to get to what they really believe in, because they're manifesting this negativity in their world. And that's how we begin to heal everything. You stop the negative rain, guess what? First, create a spiritual umbrella. That's right. You need a spiritual umbrella. So that way, when the rain is falling, it's not falling on you. That's what I did for myself. Rain is falling, but I'm not getting wet. And you create a spiritual umbrella with the work you do. And the work you do is not just going to a spiritual center. It's not just watching spiritual movies or inspirational movies or learning it's psychological concepts to think positively. No, you got to go in. You got to go within, deep down, because we manifest from within, not in your conscious mind, in your unconscious mind. Your conscious mind, well, your entire mind, only 2 to 5% of your entire mind represents your awareness, your conscious mind and consciousness, what you're aware of that's going on in your mind. That means 95 to 98% of your entire mind is in unawareness. You know that iceberg picture that you see where the little piece of the iceberg is on top of the water and then that big giant piece is beneath the water? Well, psychologists and psychiatrists use that model to show what the mind is like. So in 95 to 98% of your entire mind, you have absolutely no idea what's going on in there. None. So when you turn around and say, I know myself, I know what I believe, you don't know me, you have no idea about me, you're wrong. You have no idea about you either, because you don't know what's going on deep down inside that's manifesting your life. Well, that's why I wrote this book, is to help you get in there. You need to get in there. You need to do the work. Now, let me tell you something about work. I know people are sick and tired of doing inner work, child work, inner child work, psychology work, going to therapists, going to counselors. I know. The whole bunch of crap you got to get through. But you know how your house gets bogged down with all that excess stuff that you don't need anymore? It's actually getting in the way. Some people actually have a disease called hoarding, and they hoard everything. Maybe you don't have that, but you go into a closet that has all shit shoved in it, or your drawers. Oh my God, I know, I've had those drawers. You open up the drawers and you're like, wait a minute, I know it's in here. Where the frig is that key? Oh my gosh. Well, let me see the other drawer here. And you're going bearing through it, right? What do you think is going on in here? You got this drawer organizers that you got to do this. Actually, it's a big giant house organizer in the mind, because of the things we harbor and hold on to. And unless you filter through all of that stuff, you're not going to get things to work, but you can. And it's the best work you'll ever do. It's the best work. It's actually better than clearing out the clutter in your home. Because with the clutter cleared out in you, oh man, you can achieve unbelievable things. You can have such incredible communication. Such incredible communication. It's amazing. And what do I mean by incredible communication? I'm talking about the guidance that we're connected to. The guidance that we're connected to. It's there. And you can get answers all the time. All the time. I get them all the time. And I'm talking from spirit, the higher ups, ascended masters, deceased loved ones, whatever you want to call them on the other side, outside of this physical world. There's where you can get answers so that you're not alone and you don't have to ask your best friend whose life is screwed up anyway, and you want answers from that person. I don't think so. Or from your dysfunctional family who caused your issues to start with. You don't want to go back there either. But you can go to your highest place, that part that you're connected to give you the greatest and best answers. And they're there. Do that for yourself. Do the work. And here's a promise that I'm going to make for you. Look, I know this may not have happened to every woman. I said this before, and I had all these women agree, and then a couple write and go, that didn't happen for me. I assure you, it really does. There is a hormone in a woman's body, only in a woman's body, not a man's body, that allows the body and the mind to forget the actual physical pain childbirth created. And that hormone is in there intentionally for evolutionary reasons. There would not be us today if a woman remembered the pain she went through giving birth to a child, because she would never want to replicate that. Now, you can remember the trouble you might have gone through and how difficult it was, but you can never remember and feel the actual physical pain you went through. It causes you to forget. Truly does. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because when you do this work and go within and help to heal yourself, and I can't go through all the steps right now. Keep coming back to hear the Jenna effect, and I'll go through all the different things that you'll need to do. But once you go through this work and you get on the other side and you're manifesting what you want, you'll forget the work. You'll forget how difficult it may or may not have been, because you'll be on the other side. And I can promise that. I'll give myself as an example before we go. When I was young and in my youth, and maybe many of you who are listening to this right now or watching this already know me and know my story, I was the bullied and tormented one until I was 17 years old in high school. From first grade all the way through until my senior year in high school, I was bullied. I was chased home every day, and if I was caught, I was beat up. In school, I was shoved in lockers, head flushed in toilets, thrown in dumpsters, stripped and thrown into assemblies to be embarrassed, and even in the classroom, books thrown at me, spitballs hitting my head all the time. That was a daily occurrence, being humiliated, peed on, spit on. And I don't even want to name the other excrement that comes out of males in gym that happened to me too. Yes. And then when I got home, Mom had mental pathologies because of her issues from her past. She was sexually molested as a child until she was 13 years old. So she had borderline personality disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic disorder, major depressive disorder. And she took that all out on my brother and I growing up. And let me throw in, of course, that I was sexually molested until I was 13 years old by a nearby babysitter, male babysitter, who took care of me, and of course the parish priest who was taking care of Mom and her illnesses. So I have a lot of torment that I went through, that little Vincent went through, and those scars are still there. And so you can imagine the work that I needed to do to get beyond those scars. And now I am the spiritual teacher that I want to be, because this work works. Now, I'm not going to say that it goes away once you do it and then you don't have to do the work anymore. Little Vinny is still in me, because that's the human part of me. And every so often, little Vinny wants to speak. He wants to say, oh, you're not good enough. You're not lovable. You're not going to get anything that you want because you don't deserve it. Because that's what little Vinny heard, and the messages that he got from his environment growing up. And so as adult Vinny, and we're an accumulation of our entire lifetime, so little you is still inside of you. I don't care how old you are. You could be 99 years old watching this, listening to this, and the little you is still there. We don't lose that. You can format a computer hard drive that collects all this information far better than you can get rid of any information from a human mind. Once it goes in, it stays there. And why that's so important is because of the law of attraction, because the power that we are all connected to, you are manifesting from your unconscious mind. But the work that I wanted to tell you about is I did the work. And I am here today as an example and proof that it can work. And I love my life. I have an incredible life. I'm married to my wife. We've been together for 49 years, married for 44 years. We have two absolutely incredible, beautiful children on the inside and out. Our son, who is, oh gosh, 41 years old. Yeah, turned 41 years old this year. And he has three incredible children, a beautiful wife. My daughter, she is, she's 34 years old. Did I just get older just saying that? 34 years old, married to an incredible man, and pregnant for the first time. And she's going to have a little boy in September. So I have an incredible life. My wife and I, joyous work that we do together all the time. And we're not just tolerating each other for 49 years. We are best friends, lovers, and we created a soulmate relationship. And that can happen no matter what your torments have done, if you do the work. And I'm telling you right now, it's worth it. So come back each week to the Jenna effect, and I'll give you the tools you need. I'll give you the information how to cope and deal with life, not just cope and get through it and not just survive, but to thrive no matter what rain is falling down, no matter what the negativity is. You can thrive. You can become unstoppable. What's holding you back? I'll see you next week.